people tend to think that they need to have their punchlines set up before they can jump into a conversation and crack a joke. And what you find is that the most funny, charismatic, consistently hilarious people, they don't always know where the joke is, but they treat everything as an offer, right? Every single word that is said, they play with. And so this is a video of Russell Brand on Ellen. I'm going to allow it to run more than I did the first time so you can sort of see it live. But in the first minute or so, just notice how Russell plays with everything that Ellen says. Instead of just responding with a yes or no answer, he adds a little bit more material to it. This is sort of what I call scattering ammo around the room. So she says something, he responds in a more than 1 or 2 word response so that there are conversational threads and humor threads for him to pull on later in conversation, and they wind up tying together really, really nicely, and he looks like a genius, which is not necessarily the case. I actually think he's really hilarious. Genius we can argue about. Moving on throughout the video, the other thing that I want you to be aware of is the whole idea of being genuinely a really good expert conversationalist and being able to flow with people and keep them engaged for 20 to 60 minutes at a time or even more. The thing that is most important is that you're not a one-trick pony. Because you can imagine the one guy who just constantly is nothing but unrealistic, sarcastic jokes, that gets boring. So is the guy who just wants to talk about serious, somber issues the whole time. So this is only a 3-minute and 46-second video, but Russell switches very, very comfortably between serious and funny and serious, back and forth. So the beginning, much more funny, the end, it moves towards the serious side, all engaging.
Hi, Russell.
Hello.
How are you?
I feel very well today, thank you.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. This is your first time here, and I'm happy to have you here.
I'm very honoured to be here in this chair.
Oh, really?
So that's what I meant about scattering conversational ammo. He's not just saying, good to be here. I'm very honored to be here in this chair. He's starting to build tools, threads that he can pull on to make jokes later.
Yeah, I really like it.
Oh, good. You can come and sit in this chair anytime you want.
Thank you. Do you think there will be times when it's impractical?
If someone's in it?
For example?
Yes. It depends on who's in it. They may enjoy you sitting on their lap.
It may lift the interview. Mm-hmm. They could be here, and then suddenly I'll be perched on their lap. They'll have to crane round you, but it may induce a kind of sexual energy, perhaps.
Let's try it someday.
Any of your guests, you can select one at random from a hat, and then I'll just come and perch on their knees, or if we feel very adventurous, further along towards the groin.
So this is a great example of building the world, and going to go deeper into that. But this started with, I'm very honored to be here in this chair. And as he talks about the chair and if they would be okay for people, he starts to build this fake world whereby someone would sit on his lap and they could pull from a hat from the audience to see, and they could slide closer. That is classic improv. It's not a one-hit, I know exactly where this joke is going. It builds incrementally with, slightly more unrealistic, ridiculous things. Pulling a hat to see which member of the audience will sit there, and then it's only at the end that he sees where his real punchline is.
When you were on different types of drugs, because you really do have, look at you, you don't need anything. You're very entertaining, and but I can't imagine, did that, because when you talk about it in the first book, you were addicted to basically everything, right? Everything. Was there anything you weren't addicted to?
Like, say, vitamin C, I barely ever had any.
No vitamin C?
Scarcely, unless inadvertently someone put into some heroin. Which is, I needn't stress that heroin is very, very bad. I know that from experience now.
Right, very, very. You were addicted literally to everything.
Yes, I became addicted to heroin, crack cocaine, cocaine without the...
Just to show you, he started answering that question, was there anything you weren't addicted to, facetiously, right? Vitamin C, joke. Now he's going back into, he's actually answering her question, and you'll see then he brings it back into humor. This sort of effortless flowing between honest, sincere answers and joking around, this keeps people hooked and engaged.
washing it up to make it into crack, amphetamines, marijuana, alcohol, moving about, looking out of windows, this position, all of those things.
And that is a classic example of moving in and out of humor. I'm going to play it again because I think it's great.
Crack, amphetamines, marijuana, alcohol, moving about, looking out of windows, this position, all of those things. I couldn't stop myself, Ellen.
And we should say it's been 8 years. You're sober now, 8 years?
I've had no drugs for 8 years.
8 years. They're very happy for you.
Oh, good.
So what I like is that you have in your Bookie Book 2, which I love the names, the first Bookie Book and Bookie Book 2. I think you send a good message to everyone thinks that fame is going to be the answer. And
so Russell's about to knock it out of the park. He's been mostly laughs up until this point, and he's a very likable guy. But it's now when he gets sincere that he is so captivating. And just watch his answer here.
And you have a really good message for teens, for fame, and for what they think that's going to do for them.
Yes, because when I was growing up, I thought that I'd be a lot happier if I was famous and successful and if I had money. And I think that's because we live in a culture that celebrates fame and commerce and consumerism and money, so that if you don't have those things, you feel like you're not enough. And I think we live in a culture that makes you think, oh, I'm a little bit too fat, or I'm too thin, or I'm not right, and I don't fit in. And I think, increasingly I've realised as I've tried to change and tried to adapt and amend and pursue these ambitions, that ultimately everybody has a beauty within themselves, and if you find this and accept this, then you will be happy regardless of external attributes or material things.
And that works, and that hits so hard because he has won our attention with his humor. If you were to go into every conversation and just be, how can I immediately, right off the bat, talk about my deepest, most profound values, that is not necessarily the most winning strategy. It might work some of the time, but you're going to lose attention. Russell set it up so that when he delivers that, he's got the entire audience glued because of how funny he's been, and he can make that really sincere message hit and connect, and that is why he is so, so, so charismatic.